And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roger, Atlantis.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off. Bring in FD off. Off. It's orange!
Orange 45! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. What is it? Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting with the flare, correct?
Yikes. You good? We don't need any more of these.
Hey everyone, and welcome to NSF's coverage of the launch of the Starlink Group 12-21 mission. My name is Hagen Warren, an editor here at NASA Spaceflight. If you were around for the crew stream earlier, then my voice is probably familiar, because I was there for that. On your screen, you can see probably about the top third of Falcon 9, and that is because we are having some issues with getting our camera spooled up. You would think after, we just did a crew stream with all these really cool cameras, and I don't know, Kevin mentioned like 20 cameras or something, that we would be able to, have at least 2, but our cameras are being a bit mean to us right now. So this is what we're working with. It's fine. We'll still be able to see the launch when it happens. Joining me here in the studio is Mr. Alejandro Alcantarilla Romero. Alex, how are you doing?
Wow, you're trying. I can hear the attempt. But yeah, it was a long stream. Sometimes the technology says, "Okay, that was too long. I'm dropping out." Right? But we're working on that in the background, of course. And in the meantime, we do have these fleet cam views out there from Port Canaveral, of course. So in the meantime, we can at least check in on the rocket and see what else is going on. We're not going to miss the launch, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was about to say, if we have the view of the rocket, then I don't think we have any excuse to not be here. So cool, yeah. So there you can see not a Falcon 9 on Launch Complex 39A like we were looking at earlier. That is a Falcon 9 on Space Launch Complex 40, which is just a few miles south of 39A. In the background is Mr. Kevin Michael Reed pushing the buttons, pulling the levers. Out in the field is Mr. Max Evans. He's working on those cameras, so we're not really going to bother him too much. But yeah, thankful for all of our team here supporting us after a very long stream earlier. Alex, I don't know about you, but pretty tired after that stream. But a launch is a launch. I'm happy to be here to see another one.
Yeah, scrubs happen, and safety is the first and foremost thing when you have a crew on board, and it's what it is. We've been there many times. This is not our first rodeo with scrubs and whatnot.
Yeah, totally. Well, do you want to give a brief rundown on this mission, some of the facts, what to know, T0 times, boosters, and all that jazz?
Yeah, so tonight they're going to be launching 21 Starlink satellites on this Falcon 9. There are 8 Starlink V2 minis and 13 direct-to-cell satellites going into a 43-degree orbit. That rocket that you see there, behind all the cargo at Port Canaveral, it's going to be heading southeast out of Slick 40 at Space Launch Complex 40, about 10, 11 miles away from that view. There you can see that trajectory for tonight's launch. It's going to be heading out southeast, passing north of the Bahamas, and it's going to be landing downrange on a shortfall of Gravitas. That booster is quite a veteran booster. Is flying for a 22nd time on today's mission. B1069 is its serial number. It launched CRS 24, Starlink 423, Hotbird 13F, OneWeb 15, Starlink 53, SAS 18 and 19, Starlink 56, Starlink 512, 69, 619, 628, 636, 639, 647, 657, 101, 109, 810, 108, 666, and most recently 12-3. So yeah, 21 launches already under its belt, and now another one as well, hopefully in just 26 minutes from now.
I wonder at which point we're going to get to where, or rather, I wonder when we're going to get to the point where a booster has flown so many times that, it just doesn't make sense for us to list out all of its flights anymore. We're getting there. Cool. Well, yeah, thank you, Alex, for that. Like you said, coming up on about 25 minutes to launch here. We can't see it, but Max says in the back channel that prop load is well underway. You can see, or you can't see, but if we could see the rocket, then we would see those vapors flying off the rocket. In about 5 minutes, we would expect to see the T-minus 20-minute vent. But yeah, at least we can still see those 4 towers. And a little bit of Falcon 9. So cool.
Max still working on that view. Again, troubleshooting things, long stream that we had just recently with Crew 10. So of course, Murphy's Law, I guess.
Yeah. And well, the good thing about right now them going through prop load is that the weather for tonight is really good. A lot better than it has been the last few nights. I know the other night when they tried to send this off, it was super windy. Max, I remember saying that he had to hold on to the camera the entire time. But weather tonight is 95% go, which is really good. So hopefully they'll get to the bottom of this count and then lift off. So yeah, if all of you in chat, if any of you have any questions for us about Falcon 9, Crew 10, just the latest happenings in spaceflight or about Starlink, be sure to tag us at NASA Spaceflight in chat, followed by your question. That'll put it into this nice queue for me to grab and then ask. So cool. And we have Alex here to answer all of our questions, our expert. So cool. So we do have a question here asking, do they close the airspace only for crew launches or for all launches?
They close the airspace for all launches. Of course, it depends on which way the launch is going, right? The airspace being closed might be one shape, another shape, different area of depending on which location it is going. For example, on that trajectory view that we saw before, I don't know, Kevin, if you can prepare that to show it, but some of those hazard areas that you see there that we were showing before, there we go. Thank you, Kevin. Some of those are, for example, water closures, right? There are sort of these hazard zones on the water side of things, but others, especially that deep green one on near the launch site, that is the NOTAM, right? That area, that airspace closure that they have around the launch site, and so it has that shape in that in that map because it is going in that direction. For the Crew 10 launch, for example, because it goes northeast, you will see something similar but mirrored to the north. So it will probably be something going northeast with a very similar shape in that case. And so depending on the mission, the airspace and water closures are differently shaped, are in a different area, different location, just because, it's going a different place. And so it makes sense to not have everything closed off. You just close what you need in order to keep people safe. If, I don't know, for example, when they do these these southern launches from the Cape, in the past, there used to be a TFR, a temporary flight restriction, prohibiting some of the planes to come in from the northeast into that airspace. But nowadays, they have shrunk that area in order to make it such that they can come in from the northeast. And thank you for that. So there you can see on Flight Radar 24, if you want to come in from the northeast of the United States, for example, say Boston or something like that, and you want to come into Orlando or Miami, for example, you will not be able to do that if that northeast location from the launch pad were to be closed off. And so some of the planes, of course, are still running through, right? But that area there is closed off, and some planes may be able to at least, skirt outside of the TFR and still be able to not have a lot of disruption. And this is one of the things that the FAA has been working as well, trying to get those airspace closures, limited to the minimal that they can, right? Like the minimal that is useful to keep people safe. And things like, for example, they have the Space Data Integrator, for example, which is a tool for pilots to be aware of what's the condition of the launch that they are about to get close to. So, for example, again, say there's a flight coming from Boston to Orlando, and they need to come in one of those airways, right, that go sort of northeast of the launch site, they're not going to be able to. They're not going to go through all of the closed airspace. But if they go into Miami, though, then they might have in their flight plan, a bit of a conflict with a TFR, with a temporary flight restriction. And so between ATC and that space data integrator system, they are going to be able to make sure and check out what's the status of the launch. Of course, they don't have, at least not yet, they don't have YouTube, and they cannot tune in into NSF or anything like that to make sure that they know what's the status of the launch. They need to fly the plane, right?
Yeah.
And so they need a tool, a system that's able to to keep them updated on that sort of thing. I think the FAA even said that they can even have a bit of telemetry from the rocket as well in some senses. I really don't know how that actually looks like, but I'm really curious how it is. But yeah, they have that that sort of tool at their disposal, so they can close the airspace just for a very limited amount of time and not disrupt the ins and goings of all of these very busy space airports.
Yeah. Well, now we're past T-minus 20 minutes. You can't see it, but Max in our back channel is saying that the T-minus 20-minute vent is blowing. So, just envision that it's there. We're still working on those camera issues in the background, but of course that's a good indication that fueling is underway. Here you can see our countdown timeline coming up. So
Yeah.
follow along there.
Usually you'd see that press side view, of course. Again, working that troubleshooting and everything. But hey, we can have fun. We can still watch a
Yeah.
launch, right? We still
Yeah.
see the rocket, just not entirely, but it's there. We know it's there. So yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Have some more questions for you here, Alex, if you'd like.
I do
Ooh,
like
this-
questions.
This is a good question, especially regarding Crew 10 scrub. John here asking, if they launch this rocket, does that mean no Crew 10 attempt tomorrow because of that 24-hour rule?
That is a great question. So we talked about how, for example, for SphereX from Vandenberg, they were able to integrate that, into the exception of the rule, right? Who knows? Maybe Starlink is also being integrated into that, right? Maybe they were planning on a way to get this data to NASA really quickly and being able to go through all of that before they attempt again tomorrow. Or it could also be that SpaceX might try to do something along the lines of like, they're fueling right now, right? They're loading propellant on Falcon 9. Maybe they go to the last minute or so of the countdown and then they say, okay, well, we may try again tomorrow with Crew 10, so we're not going to launch. Like, that could be a possibility. Again, knock on wood, I don't want that. I want the other possibility, the one where they're like, well, it can launch. We'll figure out a way of, looking through all the data and going up. But yeah, that's one of...
It's a unique capability to have that we're not really used to. Like, obviously, several, like a decade ago with shuttle, it wasn't really common that you would have two rockets on the pad, two of the same rockets on the pad at the same time to be able to run through the count and look at the same exact areas to determine, what that issue is. So that's a really cool capability that Falcon 9's unique launch rate allows for. So just
Guys,
another
I
one
have
of the
breaking
cool things.
news.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh, I
So-
don't even know if the audience can hear me, but we have something.
Look at that.
There we go.
There you heard our producer Kevin in the background saying that we have this camera now from Max. They got that camera set up. Good to see. And there you can see that vent there.
It's alive.
It's alive.
Gentlemen,
Beautiful. Max.
Thank you, Max.
hello.
Hopefully you're a lot less stressed now.
Yeah, that was certainly interesting. But if I may, really quickly play devil's advocate for that question, because I was
Ooh.
hoping that would come up at some point. Given the hydraulics issue they had tonight, this could either be what Alex was talking about, or SpaceX realizes that the repair and fix on this issue could take more than 24 hours, thus opening the window to get Starlink off the ground tonight. we will have a better idea of what that could be at T0, whether or not all 9 Merlins light or not, and Falcon 9 gets airborne off of Slick 40, or we see a hold at the very last minute. So just wanted to play devil's advocate because we don't exactly know exactly what's happening right now at both pads, other than what we can see with our Mark 1 eyeballs. But again, like most things in spaceflight, we will have to wait and see.
Yeah. As Max mentioned there, Crew 10 earlier was supposed to launch earlier today at about 7:48 p.m. Eastern. Of course, that ultimately did scrub. Yep, there you can see Falcon 9 and Endurance on the pad. Had to scrub due to a hydraulic issue with the ground support systems there at Launch Complex 39A. So hopefully the teams are troubleshooting and we'll get a better idea of when we can see those 4 astronauts launch. But yeah, cool. And Max, now that we have you on comms, how's the weather looking like down there at the Cape?
Well, Hagen, it's bittersweet because you really cannot ask for any better weather than we had today to get Crew 10 off the ground, and also Starlink. Unfortunately, we may only get one of those, if not neither of those. Still, just to be completely real here, because the weather has been absolutely perfect. The weather forecast from the 45th Weather Squadron was forecasting a greater than 95% chance of favorable weather, which in reality is about as good as weather forecasts go for the Space Coast of Florida and aerospace operations. Crystal clear skies above us, a nearly full moon, plenty of stars, and calm air around us. There's hardly even a breeze out right now. It's so quiet. Picture perfect. It's about as good as you can get for a night launch, or even just for a day as a whole for both Crew 10 and Starlink. But hopefully we can make good use of this weather and get Starlink off the ground in just over 13 minutes time.
Yes, indeed. Have some support here in the back channel that I want to get to. Stephen with a $20 super chat here, saying might have missed it, but what is the flight path that Falcon's going to be flying for this mission, Alex?
That'll be southeast, as we were showing before. The East Coast, well, if you're in Florida, you may even be able to see it, like, even if you are a little bit north of the launch site, it'll still be visible, especially during the night and in a clear night. Like today, you may still be able to see that because it's very bright. And if you don't have, trees and things like that, you may still be able to see it even if you are a bit north. But yeah, unfortunately, this is not one of those that goes, northeast up the coast and things like that. So if you are too far up the coast, you might not be able to see it. But yeah, if you are in Florida on the East Coast, you definitely have a chance. So I at least will head out and try my my best luck of seeing the launch. There you go.
Yeah, there you can
That's
see
a
that
T plus
visibility.
5.
Yeah, definitely not as much visibility on the East Coast as there would have been for Crew 10 earlier, especially given the time of day. However, yeah, as you mentioned, if you're in Florida, you have a pretty good chance of seeing this. Maybe even up into South Georgia. So yeah, head outside, see, doesn't hurt. Get some fresh air. So
Yeah.
awesome.
I know of people that even post their videos of these launches, like they see it even from the west coast of Florida, right? It's like from Tampa. See, there you can see a bit of visibility is possible from there even. You gotta have good chances, but hey, you will not see it if you don't try.
Yeah. If you're joining us from down in the Bahamas, as you can see there, then you will have a really good view of this. So yeah, I'm also jealous of you if you're down in the Bahamas. So, the Cosmic Nebula here, gifting 5 Red Team memberships. If you got those memberships, hope you enjoy them. Ooh, a whole bunch of Red Team memberships being gifted here. Apocalypse Cow gifting 5. Cosmic Nebula gifting 10 more. Wow. Thank you for that support. And then Daniel gifting 5 Red Team memberships as well. And then we have a $5 tip here from Ethereal Swordsman asking, a fun question, asking, what is the funniest rocket to ever fly in our opinion? Alex, what's the funniest rocket to ever fly to you?
Well, I've not flown any rocket so far, and I don't have any intention to. But hey, I don't know. Like it feels to me that at least Soyuz, it kind of feels funny because of the
Yeah.
the boosters and how long it sits on the ground trying to fire the engines and everything. I don't know. It just seems like a very weird and funny looking rocket, I guess. But yeah,
Yeah.
and then I guess it's not just because it's the largest rocket in the world, but Starship kind of looks a bit funny to look at when it's flying because it has all of those flaps on the Starship upper
The grid
stage,
fins.
the
Yeah.
grid fins deployed. Yeah.
It took
And
a
so it's
while
a
for me
bit
to get
yeah.
used to the grid fins not folding down like they do on Falcon.
Yeah, right.
But yeah,
And now everybody's doing that. I don't know if you guys saw the update from Relativity on Terran R. They have
Yeah.
non-deployable, not non-retractable grid fins, I guess. It's
Yeah.
the correct expression.
Yeah. Max, what about you? What do you think is the funniest rocket to ever fly?
The funniest rocket to ever fly. Oh boy. I want to say it was the Atlas Able. Was that the one that had the super skinny upper stage
Yep.
with almost like the ball
That's a good
fairing?
one. That's a
Yeah,
good one.
Atlas Able. That was like one of the most cursed rockets
True.
to ever fly. But also the Proton that had one of its avionics installed upside down, so it was trying to correct for an orientation it was not actually in, and then running right into the ground. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
so those would be probably my two answers there.
That's good. And I am so proud of both of you for neither of you saying Ares 1. So Ares 1X. So thank you so much for that.
I retract
rocket.
I retract my answer. Ares 1X is the worst rocket to ever fly.
Okay, we're not friends anymore, Max.
I just didn't consider it a real rocket, so
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
someone get ice for that burn.
Wow.
Ouch.
Wow. To me, the funniest rocket to ever fly is probably Ariane 4. I've always thought that's a pretty funny looking rocket.
Anything like pre-Ariane 5 it just
Yeah.
seemed like really weird from Ariane Space.
Yeah. Oh, me. Thank you for that question. That was
Wait. I have one
Oh.
more.
Okay.
What I can't remember, is it the Indian PSLV where it's a solid center core and then liquid fueled boosters?
Oh yeah.
And they are not and they don't detach. It's all one stage.
yeah,
Yep.
GSLV Mark II.
GSLV, yes. Yeah, that should also be on the list.
Yep. There's been some funny rockets. It's unique the different ways people find ways to get to orbit. So yeah. And then Gary here gifting 10 red team memberships. Woo, a whole lot of people in chat getting some red team memberships tonight. Like I said, if you got one of those, enjoy those membership perks. They're pretty cool. All right, coming up on T-minus 7 minutes and 30 seconds to launch. You can see Falcon 9 is alive. As you can see our countdown timeline popping up right there. You see those vapors venting away from the rocket. There is fuel flowing into those fuel tanks. So, yeah, we're getting closer to launch.
Yeah, just 7 minutes away. Next thing, if everything is still on track, should be that engine chill on the 9 Merlin engines, as you can see there on the timeline on the left at T-minus 7 minutes in the count. Then at T-minus 5, we're going to get that Stromback retracting. That's the one thing that it seems like was at fault on the Crew 10 mission. According to NASA, the hydraulics issue was on the clamp arm of the Stromback, apparently. And so, yeah, that's the thing that had a hydraulic issue at 39A. Hopefully, none of that at Slick 40, right? And we get that Stromback retracted. All of the liquid oxygen load wrapped up on both first and second stages, and we launch in 6.5 minutes.
I'm really it's kind of like I'm going to be really interested to see if this actually goes or not, because like we mentioned earlier, there's so much writing kind of on this launching. If this launches just Crew 10 launch, are they just testing stuff? So yeah. Well, Max, I think you need to go get ready for launch. Enjoy it.
Yeah, well, at least we hope it's a launch.
Yeah, that's true.
and not just another wet dress for data, but it is already that time, everybody. But good luck, enjoy the launch, and I will see y'all on the other side.
Sweet. Thank you, Max. Of course, that's Max Evans, one of our photographers out in the field, getting us this view right here, and hopefully going to be getting us some beautiful launch shots in a little bit. Cool. Alex, I'm going to throw you a few more questions while we've got some time here as we're coming up on T-minus 5 minutes. Question here asking, why haven't, we're expecting this booster to land outside of the Bahamas, but of course, a few weeks ago, we had that booster that landed within the Bahamas. We have a question here from Hugh asking, why haven't we seen any more booster landings in the Bahamas?
Well, it's got to do with the missions that they launch. These missions to 43 degrees, they don't need that kind of landing, right? Because they can just go outside of the Bahamas. When they need the landing in the Bahamas, it's actually when they fly into a more inclination, a higher inclination orbit. In this case, missions like Starlink Group 10 missions that go to 53-degree inclination. And in those cases, then either they have two options: either go northeast, just like when they launch to the ISS, right? That's also 51 degrees, and so it's a very similar inclination of the orbit. Or you go southeast, but the problem is, up until just a few months ago, they were not able to do that unless they wanted to do a really, huge swing around the Bahamas to avoid, landing near populated areas. And also because you cannot just land on some other country's waters without some kind of partnership or some kind of treaty or something, right? And that's what SpaceX worked through to get that approval from the Bahamas government.
Ooh,
and so,
Alex, actually, I'm going to break in right now. NASA apparently is saying that Crew 10 is now not going to launch until Friday, March 14th.
uh-huh.
So they're targeting 7:03 p.m. EDT. I believe that's... Actually, I cannot give you that UTC conversion right now, but Friday, March 14th is now for Crew 10, which means that assuming no issues with the vehicle here, we're probably going to be seeing a launch in about 4 minutes or so.
Yeah, and also one of the reasons for this, by the way, so it's not to do with a hydraulic issue that they were working on today. Apparently from NASA says, mission managers met this evening and decided to wave off a launch attempt on Thursday, March 13th, due to high winds and precipitation forecasted in the flight path of Dragon. So essentially, it's related with the downrange abort locations for Dragon, because it flies up the coast of the United States, and therefore if there were to be an issue during flight, they need to abort, and they cannot do that if there's bad weather. So they also need to track that, and tomorrow that weather is not good. So that's why they're also pushing to Friday.
Yeah. Good to have that confirmation. Came at a great time. So we come up on T-minus 3 minutes and 20 seconds until the launch of this Starlink mission. So, a good question here asking, why aren't Falcon boosters recovered like Starship boosters are? Why don't they catch Falcon 9, Alex?
It's not designed for that, unfortunately. It's cool and all, but Falcon 9 was made in an era where rockets were flying a little bit different than Starship. In the case of Starship, it was sort of a blank sheet design, right? And so they were able to just, from the get-go, do it such that they can, minimize things like the use of landing legs and so on and so forth, and they developed the catching system. But that's basically it. They already have a whole process and a whole design of Falcon 9 around landing on legs, and it will take a lot of redesigning, and that's not worth it.
Yeah. Great. Coming up here on T-minus 2 minutes to launch, Alex, you want to walk us through what we should be expecting to see here, what Falcon's going to be doing?
Yeah, we are, that 2 minutes mark on the count. We are just a few seconds away from seeing the return of the Stromback vent, because that's going to be when they wrap up liquid oxygen load on the second stage. Falcon 9 will be fully loaded with propellant ahead of liftoff. There you can see that vent coming back, so that's a good sign that Falcon 9 is fully loaded. And so what they're doing now is they're purging and doing what are called pushbacks, trying to drain those lines with all the liquid oxygen and the kerosene and whatnot, making them clear for launch. And so the next thing at T-minus 1 minute, the control of the countdown will be handed over from the ground computers to the onboard computers on Falcon 9. The tanks will pressurize for flight, and hopefully we're gonna get that go for propellant load. Not for propellant, for launch. Excuse me. From the launch director. I'm still stuck on the Crew 10 launch. Sorry.
Great. Yeah, coming up here on T-minus 1 minute now. Falcon 9's gonna, as Alex mentioned, it should be going into internal power here.
Yeah, it is in startup.
Standing by for that go for launch from the launch director.
The
Beautiful
rocket.
view of Slick 40 there. Cool. All looks good for launch of Starlink 1221. We're going to stand by here as we get to T-minus 30
launch.
seconds. We are go for launch. There we go. SpaceX launch director says go for launch. All right. T-minus 20 seconds now. And T-minus 10 seconds. Godspeed Falcon 9 and Starlink. There's ignition. And liftoff. Gonna wait for that sound to hit us.
Falcon 9 is supersonic.
And there you go. Beautiful launch there from Slick 40. Falcon 9 with Starlink 1221. Going to be heading through Max Q here. We just heard that they were supersonic.
Max Q.
There's Max Q. Max Q, of course, being maximum aerodynamic pressure. It's when structural and aerodynamic loads are at their highest on the vehicle during ascent. I have a feeling we're going to get a really, really pretty shot here, Alex, of these engines as they start to expand out as pressure decreases with these clear skies.
Yeah. Ooh. Some stars also passing by.
Ooh, that's pretty. Max wasn't kidding. There really is a crystal clear sky out there tonight. So, of course, you heard their MVAC chill. That means they're getting that upper stage Merlin vacuum engine ready for ignition. They're just flowing some of those propellants through the engine lines to make sure it doesn't experience too much of a thermal shock at ignition. Coming up next is going to be main engine cutoff, or MECO. That's going to be followed quickly by stage separation and then ignition of that upper stage MVAC engine. Then we should see those grid fins deploy on that first stage as it heads back down to its drone ship. Standing by for MECO.
There's MECO.
Stage separation confirmed.
There's that stage set.
MVAC ignition.
And ignition on that MVAC engine. Beautiful.
There it is.
And we should
here
be
comes-
seeing those grid fins. Oh, well, there they were for a split
Well,
second. But
ground
there we
view.
go. You can see those grid fins popping out now. Now, Alex, you want those grid fins? You know, they help you. Oh wow! Look at that shot.
Wow.
Gorgeous.
Should be seeing those fairings separate because they just separated them. Oh. I could see those two dots from the two fairings.
Now, I'm willing to bet that this is something, because I know the moon is out tonight. At least I'm pretty sure it is, and it's pretty bright. I'm willing to bet this is what I like to call a moon jellyfish. it's the same effect as a normal jellyfish. However, the light that's illuminating that plume is actually from the moon. And you'd be surprised at how bright they are. I've seen a few as they fly by me here in North Carolina, and you would really be surprised at how bright they can get. So I'm pretty sure that's what's causing that little jellyfish effect that we see right there. But yeah. Of course, we had good fairing separation there as well. So those Starlink satellites are now exposed to space.
Yep. Some of the stars also passing by in the background as we keep tracking.
This is a great tracking shot there. Wow. Really gives you a sense of how fast it moves through the sky, this shot right here with the stars. Very cool. Well, if you're just joining us, Falcon 9 successfully lifted off almost 5 minutes ago from Slick 40 in Florida with the Starlink 12-21 mission. Successful stage separation and upper stage ignition, and that first stage is now coasting back to a shortfall of Gravitas, which is stationed downrange of the Atlantic. Should be coming up on that entry burn here in a little bit.
Yeah, in just about a minute or so, we should have that entry burn. 3 engines will ignite to slow down Falcon 9 and also protect it as it flies through the atmosphere back to the drone ship. Still tracking that second stage. I'm pretty sure they can tell us in the back channel. I think this is Gage.
Yeah, this is a fantastic track, Gage. Wow.
Yeah, that's Gage. Okay, thank you, Kevin.
Still getting a little bit of that jellyfish effect right there. Beautiful. All right, should be seeing... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say it's rather complicated because now it's getting lower and lower in the atmosphere as the second stage. You know, you can see there that speed already 13,000 kilometers per hour and going away from Florida. So it's not easy.
Of course, this is flying that southeastern trajectory out of the Cape. So if you're in the Bahamas or anywhere in South Florida, then I would go outside. You have a pretty decent shot of seeing this entry burn and that second stage flying downrange.
Yep.
These entry burns are a lot brighter than you would think they are.
Stage 1 FTS is saved.
There it is, the entry burn.
Wow. Yep.
That's from shore.
Yeah. Wow. And there we go.
Shut down.
All right. So, Alex, when should we see that landing happening? About what time? T plus. When should we be seeing that landing?
It's usually around 8 minutes after liftoff. Let me check the exact number because it varies sometimes here and there. 8 minutes and 25 seconds after launch. So, a minute and a half from now.
Great. And then, as you can see there on that timeline from SpaceX, Seco 1 second stage engine cutoff 1 will come pretty soon after
Look at that.
Wow. You can see that heating as it comes back through the atmosphere.
Yep. 13 kilometers and going fast. Also slowing down fast, you can see now.
Yeah. It hits the denser parts of that atmosphere.
Yep. Using the atmosphere to slow itself down.
No, assuming the skies are clear out where it's landing, I think we might see one of my favorite shots, one of my favorite Falcon booster landing shots, and that's of whenever you see the landing bird start and then you can barely see the drone ship in the water beneath it. You can see it just slowly come into view. Really gives you a sense of
Stage 2 is
how
internal
impressive
guidance.
it is to land on one of those drone ships out there.
Oh, you can see the light of the drone ship.
Yep.
Should be coming up on that landing burn.
There it is.
There it is. Oh, jinx. Through the clouds. Look at that. So cool.
Wait to see a shortfall of Gravitas. There's that camera from the drone ship.
Landing leg deploy.
There's those landing legs. And
Stage 1
touchdown.
landing confirmed.
beautiful.
That looks like a bullseye.
Yeah, that looked really good on the dot. Now standing by for second engine cutoff 1. See that second stage engine cut off here shortly. Yep, there it is.
There it is.
And with that, a new batch of Starlink satellites are on their way to provide some internet.
Yeah, there's still another burn that needs to be performed, but that's going to be like 50 minutes from now. We're not going to be covering that, of course. But, they're going to be doing all of the updates on social media as usual.
Yeah. There you can see an empty Slick 40. Finally getting that Falcon off the pad. I know, Alex, this was what, its third launch attempt?
Yeah, finally. I was here for the first 2 attempts yesterday and the other day as well. And we finally have that launch off the ground. Whew. Okay, now let's get Crew 10 on Friday.
Yeah. Now, of course, I know some people might be joining and thinking, okay, what about that 24-hour rule? In case you missed it, it came out like right before launch. Crew 10 is now launching on Friday, March 14th at 7:03 p.m. Eastern. So no worries about that 24-hour rule there. You can see Falcon 9 and Dragon Endurance on the pad. There were 4 astronauts sitting on top of that Falcon 9 there for a while earlier, but unfortunately, no launch today. An issue with the issue with that hydraulic system on the ground kept them from launching, but skipping tomorrow due to some weather issues downrange in the abort corridor. So now they're going to try for Friday.
And we're going to have now replays of that launch of that Starlink 12-21 launch. So stay tuned.
Oh, yeah. Max, do I have you back?
I sure hope so, Hagen. How do you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear. How was it?
It's been a minute since we've seen a launch get off the ground here in Florida. So it feels good to be back in business, even though Crew did not get off the ground tonight. This Starlink has been itching to get up for a few days now, and there are more to come. But good to know that we have a road forward with Crew 10 on Friday afternoon. But it was good to finally see this Starlink get off the ground tonight, and what spectacular weather we have for it. So it feels good to be back in business.
Yeah, I know the skies looked really clear. Were you shooting any shots tonight or anything like that?
One was getting stills, and one was shooting slow-mo 4K 120 footage that I may or may not release because it is very hazy tonight, and the haze list looks like the rocket is out of focus, but I promise it's not. But I might release it. I might not. This is more so just getting some stuff for the archive and testing some more camera settings. But I have a 1200 millimeter lens on rent until tomorrow afternoon. However, with Crew pushing to Friday, I may extend it by a couple of days. But the point of that lens was to get a lunar transit with Crew today. Unfortunately, that was not the case because of that hydraulic issue. But I'm sure there will be future opportunities. But I'm just glad to see Falcon 9 getting back off the ground and having a successful landing.
Yeah, and it's good you mentioned that lens there, because we did get a question earlier about, what are your favorite cameras and lenses using for capturing launches, if you can answer that one real quick.
Really quick, I love my Canon R5, and I'm looking to get an R5 Mark II in the future. Jack and I have fallen madly in love with the Canon RF 600mm f4 lens, and also the 1200 f8 lens, which is basically just the 600 with a built-in 2x teleconverter, which you can then convert 2 more times to 2400 millimeters. So the R5 paired with any big piece of Canon telephoto glass is an absolute weapon to photograph or capture footage of rockets with. But at the moment, it remains with the R5.
That's a fantastic camera. Jack's let me play around and use his for some stuff, and yeah, it's an amazing camera for really anything, but I'm partial to the rocket launches it shoots, so yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, yeah, here we go.
Replays.
We got one of these replays now. This is from Fleet Cam, I believe. We're going to see that skylight up here in a second. As we watch this Falcon 9 launch off of Slick 40. waiting. I can see the lightning tower lights flashing in it.
Kevin, did you pull the wrong time on this replay? Kevin. Oh dear.
We zoomed in?
Are we zoomed in? Is this fleet cam 2? Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go.
Let there be
sometimes
light.
when you select the place on the timeline, it just doesn't want to be at that place. So
So what you're saying is user error.
I mean, yes, but I'm blaming the software.
Fair.
Beautiful shot there. Max, has it gotten old yet? Seeing these fly?
You know, the pre-launch has definitely become something we've gotten used to, and it has become, even though spaceflight as a whole, especially with Falcon operations, it is not routine. But for us on the ground here, and from a coverage standpoint, it's become very. I would say I would go as far to say that it has become routine in the gear we set up, in the way we set up our cameras, in the way we set up our streams. And sometimes in days like today, where I've been here since about 7:30 this morning, and for a scrubbed launch no less. But at the end of the day, once you see the sky light up and you see whether it be Falcon or Atlas or Vulcan or SLS or whatever get off the ground, every single bit of every single second of work that you've done that day previously just all becomes worth it. Man, this is just the nature of what we do. It strikes us to our core, and we love seeing it go every single time. And that feeling of liftoff and watching it ascend, that does not get old. I promise you.
Yeah, I don't think it would ever get old for me either. There you can see another one of our replays. I believe that's from the hut out there at the press site. So
looks like one of our robots.
Yep. Really does light up the whole sky.
It really is like an artificial sunrise with any Carolox engine or any other rocket that burns with solids. Quite the opposite with anything. With any rocket that's powered by either hydrogen or methane, as we've seen with Delta IV, and hopefully we are going to see with Starship soon at night, but also we have seen with Terran 1 and New Glenn from Blue Origin. Here we go. Hopefully this is my replay from over here at the press site. Hopefully this replay also has audio, so we will find out in just a moment.
Beautiful. You can definitely see that haze there.
100%. It is definitely there tonight.
Hopefully I didn't cut this one off too.
I hope so too, Kevin. Is there audio with this one, Kevin?
I see audio levels, and here
there
they
we go.
Yep,
Here it comes. Great to hear the rumble again.
Yeah, I need somebody to make an album where every track is different rumbles from different rockets, and then make that an album, put it on Spotify, Apple Music, and stuff, and then send it to me.
And then can we name that album Acoustic Energy?
Oh, that's so good. Okay, wait. Okay, Max, we might have to do this ourselves. I'll bring a mic in Florida.
I'm so down.
And then we'll put it on Spotify and stuff, and then I'll listen to it while I study.
Excellent.
So.
I will join you.
Beautiful. See, it definitely looked a bit more blue tonight with those clear skies out there. One of my favorite phases of flight there is as the pressure decreases, you can see the plume expand and turn blue and pink, and it's beautiful. Looks like it starts traveling in slow motion. So
yeah,
great
part of this
there.
Part of this has to do with the camera's exposure. It does not do well when it is in the upper atmosphere and the exhaust is still really bright. I wish it would expose better, and I'm working on the camera settings to do that, so it's not just all white. But yeah, it is still absolutely beautiful watching the exhaust expansion as it ascends further and further into thinner atmosphere. EJ, are you here?
Hey,
hey,
is this really an EJ link that we have here?
Yeah, of course. What's up, chat? How you guys doing? Did you guys enjoy Starlink 1221? It's a good time.
That was a good time.
22 flights on that booster. Pretty good.
We've all had a good time today.
Yes. Me and Alex sat on, I'm also very tired. Me and Alex sat on stream for a while earlier.
Yep.
So Alex longer than me.
And it's also my third attempt here with Starlink. I've been on the first 2 attempts, right? Yesterday and the other day as well. And now, hey, finally, at least it launched, right? And we got it in the bag. And, you know, come Friday, we're going to have that Crew 10 launch. Hopefully getting those 4 astronauts to the International Space Station. And, you know, relieving all of the Crew 9 crews as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, of course, that is one of our riders. I'm going to do it. Alejandro Alcantarilla Romera. How did I do, Alex?
Hey!
Nice.
I get the R's from all my Russian studies. So, Alex, of course, one of our writers. Thank you for sticking around all day, joining us. This was fun. A bit stressful at the beginning with no cams, but of course, working on those cams and getting it working was Mr. Max Evans, one of our photographers out in the field. Max, thank you for joining. It's always a pleasure getting to talk to you.
It has been a pleasure, as always, to share space with y'all, everybody. Even though today didn't quite go as we had hoped and planned that it would, there is always another day to send a rocket skyward. And we are hoping that day for Crew 10 is Friday. So we will hope to see you guys soon for that very stream.
Yes, of course. Follow Max on all of his social medias, on all of our social medias, and on his social medias on X and Blue Sky and Instagram. He posts some amazing photos there. Hopefully we'll be able to see some from him from this launch in a little bit. Of course, in the background was Mr. Kevin Michael Reed, pushing the buttons, pulling the levers. You heard him a little bit here and there, talking to us about some of his failed replay polls. And of course, I am Hagen Warren. I am your host. I am an editor here at NASA Spaceflight, doing some commentary here tonight and for Crew 10. I hope you all have a wonderful, beautiful evening, and we will catch you all next time. See ya.
And here we go.
We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
RS-68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roll, planet.
Water towers fly! Yes! Echo down to nominal.
Flight comms IFC off. Bring in SC off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage!
What is it?
Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
The methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?